Hi, Shana.
Hi, Janet.
Thank you for allowing me to do this. So here for a coaching session, what was the topic or thing that you wanted to talk about today?
So the thing I want to talk about is what I'm gonna do in about, when is it, May? By October, I fulfilled my 2 years in my current position, and I'm not sure what to do next.
October of this year?
Yep, October this year.
Tell me more about that.
So right now I have a pretty long commute. It's about 45 minutes to an hour, but I kind of like what I do. I like the people I work with. I've made a lot of friends, but I kind of feel like it's time to do something that's a bit closer, maybe a bit different. But I guess I have this kind of feeling that if I leave my friends and kind of this environment, that I'm not doing what I should be doing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't tell which one is the selfish choice. Like, staying so I can be around friends and I can have my usual, like, social thing, or doing something that works better for my commute, making sure I can get home in time for my kids, and maybe doing something that allows me a bit more growth professionally. Because right now, I'm kind of stuck. I'd be doing the same thing again, moving to another position. It wouldn't be like any kind of upward movement. It would just be, I'm just doing something different. And that's what I've been doing for 8 or 9 years. Just like moving to a different position to learn like a different country or work in a different area. And I can never be management in the way my job works now.
So all lateral movement, not up movement.
Yeah, and the only like good thing is I'm broadening my knowledge of different countries or something like that. But like I told my boss, because he was like, you don't want to stay longer. I said, well, the managers get dumber every year and I'll never be one, so it's kind of just a difficult thing. I didn't think I really cared about that as much, but because of my years of experience and being a contractor versus like full government, I'm literally getting like 28-year-olds that can tell me what to do, who don't know what they're doing. And I'm also having a lot of people come to me asking me, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like, I'm unofficially mentoring people, but I don't get any credit for that at my current level. So it's just something that sort of feels like fulfilling in one way, but not in the other. It's like, how important is your socialization versus, oh, if I get a job that's closer, maybe I can move into the project management realm, like more of that, versus like managing projects but not being called a project manager. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have two ideas of what you could potentially do. One being stay where you're in your current role, but maybe shift your responsibilities. The other, the work content of what you're doing. The other being find another position in a different company in a different location.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, though. The way contracting works is like, if I wouldn't necessarily change companies, I'd change departments. That's a little complicated. I don't really want to get into it. But
with the same contracting company, but with a different customer, essentially.
Yeah, like a different-ish customer. Yeah. Well, so for example, I guess I can get a bit more specific. What I'm doing now is more like region specific, you know, in like military terms, think like Indo-PACOM versus whatever the other com is. So my entire career has been East Asia. My entire career has been East Asia, and it's been moving from like one country to the next. So first it was not like literally moving, but covering Japan, and then it was like Cambodia, like MySer. Now it's like the Pacific. I'll show you New Zealand Pacific. So I was like, oh, well, I haven't done like Philippines or Indonesia yet. Maybe I could just move over there. And that kind of just like, I've covered almost all the regions, which is like a very...
It's essentially just changing the flavor of what you're doing and
not actually
the thing.
Yeah, progressing. And I don't know what that manager is like, but I've struggled with my managers recently because they come back and they're very field focused. They're not managing things on a base level type. So I could be rolling the dice on that. And I said that too, like I'm tired of rolling the dice on whether I get a good manager, whether they're knowledgeable, whether they're going to try and like impose their ideas of how we should be doing things. Will they respect my experience? They like to pay lip service. They're like, oh yeah, you've been around a long time. You're a very valuable resource. And then I say, okay, well, we should do this. Well, I don't know about that, you know.
Sure.
I don't know if we're going to do it like that. So, yeah. But I guess I'm having trouble because I don't know what anything's going to be like. I know what this is like. But if I move over to doing something maybe more tech, you know, more like topic-based tech, or what's another topic? Or like communication, you know, computers and things like that. Tech and computers sound the same, but yeah, no. I don't know what that's like. What are those managers like? Do they have a complex and they think they're smarter than everybody and they're like, oh, you're just the paper pusher? Like, I'm getting out of control. I was like, I just don't know what's gonna happen. I already know what's happening here and it's bad, but like, yeah. And I was like, oh well, maybe the better commute will make up for any potential things, you know. It's just...
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is making a decision between the known and the unknown.
Yes. With me trying to do pros and cons, not knowing how to weigh those pros and cons. Like, is it better to have a good commute and make it home in time for the kids, not suffer through that? Or will I be leaving a place where I don't like anybody? I have to readjust to whatever that culture is, whatever those people are like. It's already tough.
Okay. Can you think of a time before where you've been in a similar situation where you've had a known entity and you've had to make a decision of whether or not to stay there or go somewhere else or do something else?
Yeah, initially moving over to this current job, I initially started out being more of like an administrator, and I decided to make the leap to more like projects versus being someone's assistant. And that was tough because you know, people want you to stick around. I'd only been on a job like a month or two, but I already decided I didn't like it. And the opportunity to basically double my pay and do something I already had an interest in. So that was a bit easier of a decision.
Okay.
And I wasn't moving locations, so that was also less change. It seemed like a very easy decision. More money to do something that's more interesting that I already pretty decent at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there anything about that move that you were concerned or afraid about or hesitant about?
Well, I hadn't had the exact experience doing that before, so I knew there would be a bit of a learning curve, and there was a bit of like okay, I have to ask other people how to do these things. I have to learn new systems. I have to learn new processes. Like, I have the general idea, but I don't have the exact idea. Am I truly qualified for this? You know, I was like a stay-at-home mom, and my segue into this was being an administrator who did more. And this is doing even more, right? So there's that. I guess, the imposter syndrome going on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you overcome the anxiety about those kind of things? How did you get the motivation to move? The courage, I should say, to move. Because you were interested, you were motivated. How did you get the courage to take the leap?
Well, it was super boring in the other job. And that drives me nuts. I can't sit around not doing anything. So not feeling like I was actually making an impact. Like, they weren't going to miss me. They just had me buzzing people in the door. That's a waste of my time. It's a waste of the government's money. And I don't really care that much. So, I don't know. It felt like I wasn't doing anything. So,
Kind of like you had nothing to lose.
yes. And I was like, well, just try your best. Try to get good as soon as possible. And you'll be fine. Yeah. I guess I just had more faith in my ability to get good at the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think contributed to having that faith? Where do you think that came from?
Well, from being told by other people that I had good potential, or I was already doing good at what I was doing, even if it was only like maybe half of what I ended up doing. I do consider myself a fast learner. I do believe I hold myself to a higher standard than an average person. So I know I'm not going to slack off.
I'm just checking the time. No, you're not going to slack off. Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't, I don't know. I think I just tried not to overthink it. I tried, you'll be fine, just do it if you can't. I don't know. Go back to being an administrator, maybe. Yeah.
What connections do you see between that situation and decision and the current situation and decision you're trying to make?
So the connection I see, but it's a bit reversed. If I move, say, to tech arena, I'm not really concerned about not being able to be good at the job. Not in the least. Like, I'm going in not being a tech person. I'm just there to help them with their processes, right? Help them with their reporting or whatever they're going to do. So I don't have any reservations about not being good about it. Or good at the job, I should say. The difference is,
the one that you're considering taking.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about any, like, skill. It's not for much more money. So there wouldn't be much of a pay increase. I guess I would kind of save money on commute costs, like gas and tolls and things like that. I'd probably save some stress. So, I don't know. I guess I'm not really seeing too many connections.
Okay.
I felt like the gain the last time was, like, so big. It was like a no-brainer. But now it's kind of like, do I really put myself through this possible discomfort for kind of not as much of a gain?
What are the potential discomforts of making the change?
New people. New people. Yeah, new people. That's when I move to a new workplace, or when I get new bosses, and when I get new coworkers, that's probably my biggest concern, is like, I'm not gonna jive well with the people. They're gonna, am I gonna have to get somebody reused to the way how I communicate, how I deliver news? Oh, is someone gonna get upset about no exclamation marks in email again? The people aspect, and it's not like I don't make friends, but things always happen. Even the people that are my quote unquote work friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean like my best friends for life. There still can be difficulties in that, and I feel like I'm really affected by people and their personalities and like what they do. And while it makes the day go by faster to have buddies and things be kind of jovial, when the work's not being done, or they're getting away with the work not being done, I get so annoyed. I don't really know how to deal with it. Yeah.
What would make a situation like that tolerable for you?
Dealing with difficult people?
Mm-hmm.
More money. More money, a great schedule. Like if I was just doing it part-time and I was still making the same amount of money or similar, like, oh yeah, that's great, fine. I have more free time, so even if like work sucks, I know I have plenty of time when I go home. I can just do whatever I want, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that would probably make it worth it. Like just better schedule in general, more money or the same money for less work.
And do you see that in this opportunity?
I guess perhaps if I really move companies, like I've been told by other people, other companies, oh yeah, we'd pay you more, we'd give you this amount probably, but no guarantee on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't expect to get another significant pay increase until I hit the 12-year mark. So yeah, the opportunity to get like even a decent bump would be pretty good. And then even if it's not part-time, like a 20-minute commute versus like 45 minutes to an hour is more free time. Yeah. Oh, more vacation. Yes, if that company has more vacation, more PTO. I also wanted that. I forgot. I just want more of my time back.
Okay. How much have you looked into this? Like how much investigating have you done?
I get recruiter emails all the time.
Sure.
Yeah. And I look at the open positions quite often. I know people who work for other companies who know me. So it's kind of one of those, I don't want to really do much digging. I want the general idea of like what's out there. And then if I'm ready to make the move, then I'll get really serious about the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you know that you're ready to make the move?
That's tough because some weeks I'm like, oh, it's fine. This is great. And other weeks, I can't wait to get out of here. I know I can't stand this. I can't stand this guy. So I feel like I can't rely on how I feel about it. I can't. I'm kind of waiting for a magical cue saying, oh, this is it. Look, this is exactly what you want. Part-time job, no pay cut. Here it is, right by your house. The magical thing from the sky. Yeah.
Well, that would be awesome if that came to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Until that happens.
Until that happens. Well, I guess the thing I really I'm having trouble with is I can't prioritize which one I think, which benefits I think are best.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't like that. I want to prioritize being comfortable and not dealing with new things. But it's a reality.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels very lame.
Why?
Because it's like, well, why is it so much trouble to meet new people? Why is it so much trouble to have a different office? Why? No, maybe don't know.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me what that's like.
What is it like? Well, even where I am, we moved to a new office, and this was a new place. It's like a temporary, non-temporary thing, typical government. And what did I come into? Mouse poop all over my desk.
Oh, gross.
Oh, gross indeed. And so traps had to be set up, and I'm just like, oh my God. So now I have to worry about mice. Mm-hmm. Even though and if I'm thinking about that, then going to a place I know doesn't have mice is a plus. A nicer place. Maybe with a window. I don't know.
Tell me about feeling about prioritizing your comfort.
It's because I can't really measure that.
Okay.
I can't measure whether am I truly uncomfortable or it's just my mind doing this to me. Is it something I can get over, ignore? What's the real tangible thing? that's going to affect stuff. If my office is kind of dingy, is that going to have, I guess I can't measure those effects. I know that they are. I read stuff about how that affects you over time, but it's not immediate, or I can't notice it. So it seems like a very arbitrary, vague thing to make decisions around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some concrete, can you think of any concrete markers of that,
Of whether you're
of your comfort? Can you think of anything?
Yeah, mouse poop. Yes.
That's pretty tangible.
Mouse poop is tangible. I do know now that lack of sunlight does affect me.
Okay.
Yeah, it does affect my mood, and I even got one of those happy lamps that my jerk coworker complained about. It's too bright. After he said, "Oh, those are really good things," he's like, "Too bright." Yeah, so I do know that affects me, like sunlight and I don't know, chairs and things like that. I don't think there's anything else that would be super different in another place. Like I'm not super picky about how my chair is or what computer screens I get or anything like that. It's overall the general.
What are other things that have made you uncomfortable in the past?
People, yeah.
Okay.
Too many people. Yes. So even though we moved to the mouse poop, there's less people. The mice aren't bothering me. It's just they don't need to poop on my desk. So like if it's too many people, like a huge office where all these people are constantly talking, or they're getting sick. Oh my God, the coughing from the other cubicles freaks me out. Yeah.
Okay. Can you think of ways to factor that into your decision making algorithm?
How could I make that a tangible thing? Okay, so maybe I need to start thinking about it, and how does this take away from my free time at home if I'm too busy decompressing or de-stressing from my shitty environment, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Or how much does this cause me to just go home and just veg out instead of being present with my kids or doing something more productive?
Are those things valuable to you? Are they meaningful to you?
To be
being home and present and not vegging out and
yes, I don't feel good when I'm doing that. Like it's fine in the moment, but I don't feel good if it seems like I'm ignoring my kids or I'm not doing something I want to do. I'm just
Okay. So how could we incorporate that into your decision making algorithm?
Well, what my mind immediately wants to say, I need to do an experiment where I see how I actually am when I'm doing this versus doing that, and then can I measure how much actual free productive time I get? Like, that's where my mind goes.
Okay. Can you think of a stressful week at work in the last couple of months?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was that week like for you?
That week I feel like I wasn't getting anything done. I feel like I didn't really want to talk to anybody else. And then the weekend was really still more vegging out. Like it spilled over into the weekend. So I got really behind in all my chores.
Okay. Can you somewhat remember like the kind of things that were going on at work during the week and the stressors and the hours and that kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, the hours were like longish, but like I had two coworkers that were just being very, very like meanie pants. Like I have no better word. They were just the worst, and everyone agreed that they were just being like, I'm seriously like guys cussing me out because he can't figure out how to recall an email. And yes.
Wow.
Yes. And another one just kind of like fighting about things he had no business fighting about. Like he was completely wrong, like factually, indisputably wrong. Multiple of us told him, but he still insisted on carrying on an argument about it for like 1 to 2 days. So it was a lot of yes.
Okay. And that amount of stress translated into what for you at home?
Not really wanting to do anything. Not really wanting to talk to other people. Wanting to veg out. Just, yeah. Not doing my usual hobbies. Not keeping up on my chores.
Like at all? Or can you quantify?
Yeah. Like the month of March, a wash.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can you think of the opposite of that? What was a good week at work?
Yeah, well, things did get easier in, say, April or May. So, yeah, all chores kept up.
Okay.
Doing walks with the kids, you know, going somewhere on the weekend, not spending too much time. Because if I spend too much time on a computer, I get, like, this bad shoulder pain. So, now that things have gotten less stressful, it's not there.
Okay. So, can you see a connection between that amount of stress and the things that you did not participate in or accomplish or enjoy
Now
during an equivalent block of time?
Now that you said it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think you can do with that information now?
Factor it in as a tangible, I guess, metric.
Okay.
In my decision making.
So what'll that look like?
I guess prioritizing more free time, whether that's in less commute, less hours, more PTO. Yeah.
So you have those criteria now that you're considering. What do you see the next step being in this journey?
So I'd say, since the contract's out in by October, that I probably do need to get serious about talking to people now. Like, what are my options? I mean, they told me, because I already went to my contract to say, I'm very stressed out. I have problems with these coworkers. And she was like, you can start looking in August to start moving, and we can just work everything out on the back end. If we hear that there's a position in your ideal area, we can start working on it. So, yeah, it's probably time to get more serious about talking to companies.
Okay. What does that look like? Well, first of all, what kind of time frame are we looking at? When are you looking to start taking some action?
Well, it's May now.
And what would that action be? That action doesn't have to be, actually calling and investigating positions. It could be, are there any things that you would want to have in place before you get to the point where you're actually talking about people about jobs?
I don't think I really need anything. I think the thing I would be afraid of personally is I would rather soft ask, because I don't like people trying to. Obviously, there's a benefit to getting a person for your company. So if you talk to the wrong person, they're like, well, of course you should come over to my XYZ company. We've got all the best benefits. So I'd rather soft ask the people I trust, that I know that aren't gonna manipulate me. What are your benefits like, etc.
Are there any tools you can think of that would be helpful, like making any kind of spreadsheets or lists or anything like that?
Yeah, that's probably good.
It's not for everybody. These are just ideas I'm throwing out there.
Yeah, I shouldn't be going on vibes. I should probably actually track it.
Some people do.
And
that's okay.
Yeah, the vibes, if I can compare the salary versus the amount of PTO and any other kind of factors, I think it would be the best idea. because if I really go on vibes, then it's like, oh, this person was nice when they were talking to me. I'm not really, yeah.
Okay. So I'm hearing that you think it would be helpful to have either a list of criteria or a spreadsheet or something like that.
Oh, yeah, and I should get confident in it too. Yeah, well, because I feel like it's tough. I'm not very experienced in negotiating salaries or talking. So if I really like getting in my head, this is what you want, you know, this is your criteria, then it'd be harder for people to convince me otherwise.
Got it. Okay. Do you have a timeline that you think you want to get that started or have it completed?
Probably, I guess like I can do mid-June to July and make that the time, and then I could go to the contract with by August with kind of what I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
I think that's kind of it. I think I will kind of reflect more on kind of the comfort level, because I'm only just now starting to understand that that's such a thing for me. I guess it's just being used to being uncomfortable. Like, oh, no big deal. And it also seems silly. I mean, you kind of pointed that out. Like,
well, it's a story that we tell ourselves a lot, is I shouldn't worry about being uncomfortable, or I shouldn't be unhappy about being uncomfortable. So I think digging into that and seeing where that's coming from would be helpful.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you actually find this helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Or do we stop recording?
I think we're good.